Prokofiev, during the Stalinistic era and during this time of great turmoil for Russia in the global world, and as a player in the global world, had really a lot of difficulty navigating how to create art in an oftentimes stifling government environment. And so this is a very interesting concert for us because the two pieces were used in very odd wartime manners. And so the Rachmaninoff, all-night vigil, the Vespers, so to say, was written for fundraising for war efforts. And yet we never consider its historical context, right? It's a piece that stands by itself. It is timeless. And so the Prokofiev is a piece that's always been directly tied to its era. Prokofiev had just come back from the US at a time of great tumult for Russia, and he was trying to figure out a way, his place in the artistic world, and didn't quite feel like he fit in the US, and was trying to navigate the Russian censors. And so here with Alexander Nevsky, we have something that was clearly written to try to heighten nationalistic feelings within Russia. And it can be still used, we've been hearing from some of our clinicians that's even used, a little bit today in the same manner. And Prokofiev's obvious unease with the government and trying to fit in, artificially creating works to try to tap into the acceptance in the artistic community in Russia, I think is part of the reason why it's so important to do these things, especially when you know its work in its context. To do this work outside of any context is one thing. To do this work in respect to its historical context is one thing. To do this work in respect to its historical context and contemporary context is another thing. And to do it in its context within our concert, I think, is also something that's interesting. The third work that we're performing in this concert is a very timeless work of Prokofiev's. Is a Romeo and Juliet, is music from Romeo and Juliet. It's to show the difference between Prokofiev aligning with government desires and Prokofiev free of those shackles. Nowadays, our community is very interested in how to exist in a society where they might be at odds with the government and the ideas that might be espoused by the government. How do you manage to, if you're an artist, create art in that environment? Is a reaction to it. It is acquiescence to it and try to work from within. Prokofiev never managed to figure out how to walk that line. And so it's sort of an exploration of how we manage that as artistic individuals, as people that live within a society where we're operating on multiple levels within our local circles, our larger circles like our country. And so to me, especially contrast to the Rachmaninoff. And nowadays, nobody knows or considers the fact that it was used, the first concerts were for war fundraising efforts. I think the contrast between the pieces, how they were used, how they are driven by its time, and how they have continued its context, or it has shed itself of its historical time, I think is something that's very interesting. And so I think I'm really excited about this concert because that's what the point of art is to do, is to talk, is to make us confront these issues. It's exploring those feelings that we know these composers were struggling with. And that, I think, is exploration of what art is supposed to be about.